Hey guys, how are you? First of all, thanks for all the support in the first season of this fanfic. So, welcome to the second season of What If Naruto Was Madara's Grandson and Fell in Love with Konan. As always, if you want more seasons of this fanfic or another fanfic in the channel, just let me know in the comments, give me your like and comment. So then, enjoy the fanfic.
Is he an Uchiha, or is he not? Under a dark sky and an atmosphere of hatred, moves a man who carried the burden of having eliminated his entire clan, someone who became a deserter from Konoha and who was also an S-rank criminal. Itachi Uchiha, the name of the one who walked through the forest while maintaining that impassive face, was something unusual that did not suit Kisame. But in fact Itachi was on his way to meet Kisame. Itachi stopped and looked up at the sky, then gave a small sigh. Itachi, what's wrong? Itachi asked, then closed his eyes. Behind Itachi, a man wearing the Akatsuki cloak and an orange mask could be seen. He called himself Madara Uchiha. Obito, I'm keeping an eye on the Akatsuki partners before the capture of the Jinchuriki begins. The masked man said in a very dark tone of voice. Itachi, I understand. Itachi said, then continued walking. Obito, I suppose you haven't heard the rumor that's slowly spreading yet. Obito said, making Itachi stop. Itachi, rumor? Itachi said, keeping his face impassive and not looking at Obito. Obito, the rumor of a shinobi with the Sharingan. Obito said, causing Itachi to be slightly surprised, although he didn't show it. Itachi, Sharingan. Itachi said in a low voice. Obito, I see you didn't know. The rumor came from Iwagakure. According to one of those present, it was a boy of about 15 years old, and he had the Sharingan. Little is said about his ability or anything like that, but there's something that caught my attention. Obito said, then squinted his one visible eye. Itachi, there can't be anyone with the Sharingan outside of the Uchiha clan besides Kakashi Hatake. They must have made a mistake. Itachi said in a calm tone. Obito, maybe? But according to the boy, the Sharingan user had yellow hair. Obito said, causing Itachi to look surprised. Itachi, yellow hair? Obito, you know what's the strangest thing? The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is dead. Obito said, looking at Itachi, who had his back turned. Itachi, asterisk dead. Naruto is dead. Don't tell me that. Sasuke star. Itachi thought without looking at Obito and maintaining a calm face. Obito, you knew Naruto he had yellow hair, right? Although it could just be a coincidence, after all, he won't be the only one with yellow hair. Obito said, then twirled his Sharingan. Itachi, what's the point? Obito, the point is that Naruto Uzumaki is dead, but a shinobi with the Sharingan and yellow hair is moving around the world right after Naruto's death. What a coincidence. The question here is he an Uchiha or not? Obito said before disappearing in a spinning vortex. Itachi, Naruto? He's alive, but if so, why does he have the Sharingan? Itachi thought, then continued walking towards his destination. Kirigakure. Naruto was lying in his bed, his face calm but detached from reality. Lately, Naruto had been thinking about the moves he had made and had thought about the genin from Iwagakure that he faced alongside the jonin. Naruto remembered Hachiro, Arata, and Keko. It was undoubtedly difficult for him to recall those names. After all, 2 years had passed. Naruto still mourned Keko's death, a girl who had just begun her ninja journey and whose many aspirations had been snatched away by the greed of a man and a village. Even so, what truly weighed on Naruto's mind was whether Hachiro or Arata had revealed the information. Perhaps they had told everything that happened and given details about what he was like. He had been careless. He could have used his Sharingan on them, but he felt incapable of trying to control someone's mind. They had lost a very important friend. They were completely broken inside. Upon seeing that team, Naruto was reminded of Team 7, and although Kakashi would never do what that jonin did, Naruto never wanted to witness Sakura or Sasuke die before his eyes. That's why he was unable to use a genjutsu on the genin. Very noble of him, though Naruto wouldn't like to admit it. The boys may have said something and the rumor may have spread. However, so far he hadn't run into anyone who mentioned it to him. Not even Zetsu had said anything to him. so most likely the rumor stayed in Iwagakure and didn't leave there. In about 2 days he would meet with Konan again, and this time Naruto wanted to gain Konan's trust, so he could get closer to Nagato's body. Naruto, Konan. Time is passing and this only benefits Obito. The more time that passes, the harder it will be to convince Nagato, and the harder it will be to defeat Obito. Naruto thought as he stared at the ceiling. Naruto heard someone start knocking on his door, got out of bed and started walking towards the door. When he got to the door, Naruto stopped. Again, the thought that they had discovered something about him made him stop. Naruto, who is it? Naruto asked, his face serious. It's me, Mei, said the voice of Mizukage Mei Terumi. Naruto sighed at this, feeling a sense of calm upon hearing Mei's tone of response. A cheerful and calm tone as usual. Naruto opened the door and saw Mei, who had a smile on her face and her eyes closed. Naruto, hey Mei, is something wrong? Naruto asked, looking at Mei. Mei, you won't let me in. It's very rude to leave me here at the door when I came all the way from the Mizukage Tower just to see you. Mei said, then looked at Naruto and was surprised. Naruto, what's wrong? Naruto asked, not understanding Mei's reaction. Mei, when did you cut your hair? You look so cute with long hair. Mei said, then pouted. Naruto, that's all. Naruto said in a low tone. Mei, what? Naruto, no, I mean I was just really hot. Naruto said, then smiled. Mei, well, you still look very cute, and well, will you let me in? Mei said, then smiled. Naruto, oh yeah, come in. Naruto said, then let Mei in as she entered the house. Mei, wow, this house is beautiful. Mei said, looking at every part of Naruto's house. Naruto, Zetsu can sense Mei's presence, so he won't appear until she leaves. You came to see my house and me? Naruto asked in a confused tone. Mei, yes. Well, it's not exactly that, since you never have time to visit me even though you don't seem to do much here. I took the time to come see you and give you some very important news that will surely make you very happy. Mei said, then sat down on the sofa in the living room. Naruto approached and sat next to Mei. Naruto, excuse me, I've been decorating some things around the house. And what's the news? Naruto asked, looking at Mei. Mei smiled for a moment and then placed her hand on Naruto's face, making Naruto blush slightly. Mei, you're now an official resident of Kiri. Last night I had some time and decided to make and sign the paperwork that officially makes you a member of the village. Are you happy? Mei said, then pulled Naruto into a hug. Naruto stood still for a moment. Then after a few seconds he reacted and returned Mei's hug. He couldn't say he was happy, but neither was he saying it was bad news. After all, now he could leave the village without having to fight those guarding the gates. And he could also get closer to Kiri's political affairs and thus learn and have information about the other villages. This brought a smile to Naruto's face. After all, upon analyzing the news a little more, he realized the advantages he would have. Naruto, that's actually good news. You really know how to surprise me, Mizukage-sama. Naruto said with a smile. Mei separated from Naruto and then stood up from the sofa. Mei turned her gaze and looked at Naruto for a moment. Mei, I told you to call me Mei. Mei said in an annoyed tone and with a malevolent smile, causing a scared face on Naruto's face. Naruto, okay. Naruto said, then saw Mei's face change to one of sadness. Is something wrong, Mei? Mei, the truth is, I'm worried about the village. Mei said, then sat back down on the sofa. Naruto, worried. Isn't the village supposed to be under reconstruction and everything progressing well? Naruto said, looking at Mei. Mei, well, that's true, but Kiri has lost all his allies and that worries me a lot, especially because of the enemies we might have. Mei said in a weak tone. Naruto, I heard that Kiri was allied with Konoha, but during the Civil War, Konoha refused to send military support to the rebels, and this caused Kiri and Konoha to distrust each other. If you're so worried, you should find a way to reform the alliance. It's for the good of the village. I think that would be the right thing to do. Naruto said, then returned to his impassive expression. Mei, but we're not ready to fight yet. I don't think Konoha wants an ally who can't even fight. Mei said, then looked at Naruto. Naruto saw Mei's face and how tears threatened to spill out. It was the pain of someone who had lived through a civil war and seen many people die, the pain of someone who didn't want to go through the same thing again. Naruto, I can help you. Naruto said, looking away. May, but how would you do it? May asked, looking at Naruto. Naruto, the truth is, I'm not a merchant or anything like that. I'm a shinobi who was abandoned by his village and now travels from place to place. Naruto said in a serious tone, his face equally serious, causing a surprised look on Mei's face, who got up from the sofa and moved a little away from Naruto. Mei, who are you? Mei asked, looking at Naruto. Naruto, I'm a former shinobi of Konoha. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I hadn't told you anything because I didn't plan to stay in the village for long. But now, because of what you've done for me, I feel it's my turn to repay you. Naruto said in a serious tone and with a similar expression. Mei, Naruto Uzumaki, I always knew you were meant to be a shinobi. After all, you look like one. Mei said, still standing away from Naruto. Naruto, I'm sorry, I have trouble trusting people. Can you give me a second chance? Mei? Naruto said, extending his hand to Mei, who looked at it. Mei, just don't lie to me this time. Please. Mei said, then took Naruto's hand. Naruto, it's a promise. Naruto said, then smiled, making Mei smile too. Mei, Naruto, it's a beautiful name. Tell me, why did your village abandon you? Mei asked, her face turning serious. Naruto, a series of things happened, and I was left unconscious, floating in the water. I never received any help from anyone. The body is supposed to be a shinobi's greatest treasure, but they abandoned me, turned their backs on me, and treated me just like they always had, like a monster. Naruto said, his face returning to its typical impassive expression. Mei, why were they treating you like a monster? Mei asked, somewhat annoyed by what Konoha had done. Naruto, he was the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. The moment Naruto said that, Mei was surprised, causing Naruto to turn his face to the side. Mei, Naruto, you must have been through a lot. Mei said, then placed her right hand on Naruto's back. Naruto, but it doesn't matter anymore. Life, Kami, or perhaps destiny has given me a second chance. Witnessing the selfishness of the villages, the devastation of war, and my own suffering has awakened in me a profound appreciation for peace. If such a thing as peace exists, then I will use this second chance to find it. Naruto said, looking at Mei. Mei, I didn't think you carried so much. That same feeling is what makes you want to help me. Mei said, then hugged Naruto. Naruto, yes, maybe that's it. Naruto said, then returned Mei's hug. Konoha. The peaceful days were already typical in Konoha. Many continued with their daily lives and lived the routine they liked. But far from the village in a training place was the grandson of the third Hokage, Konohamaru Sarutobi. His hands were completely injured and his clothes were all torn. Exhaustion was visible on his face and his legs trembled as he tried to stand up. He took out a kunai and then started running towards a tree, but halfway there he fell to the ground face down. His legs could no longer take it. Konohamaru TSK. Stupid legs, they're so weak. They're so weak and useless. They're so weak, Konohamaru said as he pounded the ground. No matter how strong you look on the outside, you will never be able to achieve anything if inside you are full of fears and insecurities. Konohamaru looked up and saw Jiraiya standing leaning against a tree in front of him. Konohamaru, you are the old pervert, Konohamaru said, causing a disappointed look on Jiraiya's face. Jiraiya, you're wrong, brat. I am the wise toad, one of the legendary Sannin, the great Jiraiya. Jiraiya said, striking his introductory poses. Jiraiya looked at Konohamaru, hoping the boy had been surprised by the best performance of all. If only the brat was awake. Jiraiya sighed and approached to carry Konohamaru on his shoulders. Jiraiya, he's reached his limit. He has the same determination as Naruto. Jiraiya thought, then smiled. The meeting, Konoha. Konohamaru slowly began to open his eyes, sat up immediately, and saw that he was in the training field. He had fallen asleep on the ground. He began to rub his head and then turned his gaze to the side and saw Jiraiya walking towards him with 2 ice cream popsicles in his right hand. Jiraiya, I see you're awake now here, Jiraiya said, separating the lollipops and giving one to Konohamaru, who took it and quickly put it in his mouth. Konohamaru. Hey old man, were you the one who brought me here? Konohamaru asked, looking at Jiraiya. Jiraiya, well, you fainted in the middle of the training field and the sun was shining directly on you, so I decided to bring you near a tree so you could get some shade. Jiraiya said while eating the popsicle. Konohamaru, I see. Thank you very much, I think I should head back now. Konohamaru said, then stood up. Jiraiya, aren't you going to continue your training? Jiraiya asked, sitting down and leaning against the tree. Konohamaru, I'll do it tomorrow. I have to go now because I have a mission with my team and I'm already running late. Konohamaru said, preparing to run. Jiraiya, okay. I'll be here tomorrow if you need any help with your training. Jiraiya said, then closed his eyes and put his hands behind his head. Konohamaru glanced at Jiraiya for a moment and smiled. For Konohamaru knew very well who this gentleman sitting in front of him was. One of the legendary Sannin, and also Naruto's former master. Konohamaru, okay. See you tomorrow, old man. Konohamaru said, then ran off towards his mission. Jiraiya opened one of his eyes and saw Konohamaru walking away. Jiraiya closed his eye and then smiled, settling in a little more to continue his rest. Sasuke was in training ground number 5, once again engaged in his exhaustive training. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and then threw a kunai towards the trees. Sasuke squinted, looking towards where the trees were. Sasuke, they're watching me. Whoever was watching me is gone. Sasuke thought, keeping his face towards the trees. Sasuke deactivated his Sharingan upon sensing the presence of several people. He knew very well who they were. Lee, Tenten, Ino, Sakura, Choji, Kiba, and Shino were the people who had arrived where Sasuke was training. He was a little surprised not to see Hinata, Neji, and Shikamaru. Ino, Sasuke-kun. Ino said with a smile as she waved to Sasuke. Sakura, stop yelling, you pig Ino. Sakura said in an annoyed tone. Kiba, why do we all have to come here just to invite Sasuke? Kiba said, completely bored and with total disinterest. Shino, well, because Sasuke is also one of our teammates. Shino said, looking at Kiba. Kiba, TSK. I should have stayed and trained just like Hinata and Neji did, and why the hell didn't Shikamaru come? Kiba asked, looking at Ino. Ino, well, he said he had a meeting with Asuma-sensei, he'll probably join us later. Choji, the meat will probably go to waste. Choji said, imagining all the meat he would eat. Tenten. Neji didn't come either, after all he's training with Hinata. Tenten said, then let out a long, very lazy sigh. Lee, I also had to train, but I can take a few minutes to be with my friends. Lee said with a smile. Sasuke, what are you doing here? Sasuke asked in a serious tone and with a similar expression. Ino, we've come to invite you to eat some meat. Ino said, blushing slightly. Lee, yes, Sasuke. Then you can continue with your training. Lee said, then gave a thumbs up. Tenten, at least the meat is delicious. Tenten said in a cheerful and proud tone. Sasuke, I'm not interested, Sasuke said, then began walking away from the group. Kiba, that's why I told you we shouldn't have come. That guy is way too arrogant. Kiba said, glaring at Sasuke. Sakura, Sasuke-kun, you don't need to train all the time, it's good to rest and do other things once in a while. Sakura said, looking at Sasuke and making him stop. Sasuke, I don't share that same opinion. Now stop insisting, you're becoming annoying. Sasuke said, then continued walking. Kiba, okay, then take this. Kiba said, then ran towards Sasuke. Sasuke moved to the side to dodge Kiba, who put his hands on the ground and propelled himself backward, trying to land a kick on Sasuke, but Sasuke moved to the side again, grabbed Kiba's right arm, and threw him into a tree. Kiba crashed into the tree and, after rubbing his head, got back up. Sasuke, stop wasting your time, you can't even touch me, Sasuke said with an arrogant smile. Kiba, damn it, Ino/Sakura, Kiba, stop. They both said at the same time. Tenten, it's useless, he doesn't listen. Tenten said as she watched Kiba run towards Sasuke. Kiba started running again towards Sasuke, who could only watch him approach. Before Kiba arrived, Lee stood in front of him. Kiba stopped and looked at Lee. Kiba, hey, Get out of the way. Kiba said in an annoyed tone. Lee, there's no need to go this far, Kiba. Sasuke already said he wasn't going, so why all the drama? Lee said while looking at Sasuke. Shino. Lee-san is right, stop being so reckless. Shino said, causing even greater annoyance in Kiba. Sasuke, they should put a leash on you. Sasuke said, then turned his back on Kiba, who became even angrier. Kiba, I'm fed up. Katsuga, Kiba said, causing Lee to move out of the way due to Kiba's sudden attack. Sasuke turned around and saw the attack coming towards him. Sasuke's Sharingan activated, and in a matter of milliseconds Kiba's attack reached where Sasuke was, creating a large void and a large curtain of dust. After a few seconds, the dust settled and Kiba could be seen emerging from the hole created by his technique. Ino, and Sasuke-kun? Ino asked in a worried tone. Sakura, I don't think that hit him. Sakura said, looking towards where Kiba was. Lee, you're right, Sasuke is very fast. Lee said, looking at Kiba. Kiba emerged from the hole and in a flash of speed Sasuke was right in front of him. Sasuke landed a kick to Kiba's stomach, causing him to spit out saliva. Sasuke watched as Kiba fell to his knees. Sasuke raised his foot slightly, signaling that he was going to deliver a kick to Kiba's face. Kiba closed his eyes, leaving everyone surprised. After a few seconds, Kiba opened his eyes, no longer feeling the kick, and saw Sasuke moving away from him. Shino walked over to Kiba and lifted him up, placing him on his shoulder. Kiba, I was ready to take that kick. Kiba said as he watched Sasuke walk away. Shino, we were all expecting this. Shino said, looking at Kiba. Sakura, Sasuke-kun. Location unknown. 2 days later, Naruto stood in front of Konan, again in the same place. Konan maintained her typical impassive face, and Naruto had his normal face, not reflecting much, but neither an impassive expression. Naruto, Konan, I need to get close to Nagato as soon as possible. Naruto said, looking at Konan. Konan, I thought you said you'd wait a few days and stay in the shadows during that time. Konan said, narrowing her eyes at Naruto. Naruto, the more time passes, the greater the probability of Madara's plan succeeding. We must act now. Naruto said in a completely serious tone. Konan, if you knew this from the beginning, why are you only saying it now? Konan said in an annoyed tone. Naruto, because I made a mistake. I didn't think about the fact that there's information about me in Iwagakure, and it would be a major setback if Obito got hold of it. Naruto said, slightly surprising Konan. Konan, how does IWA have information about you? Once again, doubts crept into Konan's mind, doubts about Naruto. Someone who had said he was acting from the shadows and that no one knew anything about him. Now she was on alert because they knew about him in IWA, and this information could reach Obito. What was Naruto really doing when he wasn't with her? Naruto, about 2 years ago, I encountered 3 genin and a jonin from Iwagakure. I wanted to test my skills and decided to fight them. My main target was the jonin, but the guy was obsessed with obtaining my Sharingan and didn't care about killing one of his students. I couldn't bear what my eyes were seeing. It was the first time I felt so much anger that it was impossible for me not to want to kill him. Naruto said while clenching his fists and frowning. Konan was a little surprised, although she didn't show it. It was the first time she had seen Naruto so angry. Once again, that feeling came over her, making her believe everything Naruto was telling her. Naruto, after my fight with the Jonin ended, I decided to leave to avoid seeing those kids suffer over the loss of their teammate. I'm not entirely sure, but they might have told their leaders everything, and they might already know about the existence of someone with the Sharingan. Naruto said, then looked at Konan. Konan, but there are 4 people in the world who possess the Sharingan. Itachi and his brother, Madara and Kakashi Hatake. The probability of it being one of them is higher in Itachi, since he's a rogue ninja from Konoha and a member of Akatsuki. Konan said, then watched as Naruto shook his head. Naruto, but my physical description is completely different from Itachi's. Naruto said, causing Konan to look understanding. Konan, and what will we do? Konan asked, looking at Naruto. Naruto, I'll find a way to get close to Nagato as soon as possible. I know you don't trust me enough, and I know it will be very difficult to get along with Nagato for that very reason. However, I'm being honest when I say that my priority is saving my friends and loved ones, but I'm also willing to save you and Nagato. But to achieve that, we must trust each other. Naruto said in a completely determined tone, looking at Konan. Konan. Okay, I'll talk to Nagato and find a way for you to speak with him so we can continue with the Akatsuki plan. Konan said, looking away. Naruto. Alright, then I'll see you here in 2 days. Remember, I'll be coming with Zetsu, and he might even come looking for you. Naruto said, then walk towards the cave exit, Konan following behind him. The two left the cave. Naruto put on a hood and said goodbye to Konan, disappearing among the trees and rocks. Konan looked for a moment in the direction Naruto had gone, and then she went in the other direction. Naruto was jumping through the branches. The wind was very strong and it was also early morning, so it was very dark. After this meeting with Konan, Naruto hoped that she would trust him and thus be able to bring him closer to Nagato. Although Naruto already knew where Nagato's original body was thanks to Zetsu's information, he knew he couldn't go directly because Nagato would reject everything Naruto said. Approaching him through Konan was more effective. Naruto jumped to a branch, and as he was about to jump to the one in front of him, he saw a spinning vortex form. Naruto fell onto the branch, and behind him appeared his greatest opponent, someone Naruto didn't expect to meet so soon. Naruto turned his head slightly and could see the Akatsuki cloak and the orange mask. Quickly, Naruto jumped to the other branch and turned around to look directly at Obito, who was also looking at him. The two looked at each other for a moment. This was the biggest obstacle in Naruto's plan, and now it was right in front of him. Sweat ran down Naruto's forehead. After all, this guy appeared like a ghost, out of nowhere, and right behind him. Obito. Amigakure is a few kilometers from here, Obito said, looking back and then at Naruto. Naruto could only stare at Obito, speechless, perhaps because of the shock of his sudden appearance. Could it be fear? It didn't seem so. After all, Naruto knew very well that he would encounter him at any moment. Everything indicated that it was the tension that prevented Naruto from even moving. Knowing that the man in front of him was the one who had commanded Akatsuki from the shadows, and that he was also the one he had to eliminate was undoubtedly something that could make you tense. Obito. I found it hard to believe. After all, nothing fits together no matter how much you think about it, but here you are. It's not a ghost, much less another person, Naruto Uzumaki? Or should I say Naruto Uchiha? Obito said in his typical dark tone, his Sharingan glowing in the darkness. Naruto. Even though I have Uchiha blood, my last name is and always will be Uzumaki. Naruto said, trying to regain his composure. Obito, Zetsu. So the old man was still alive after all, and I can guess what you're doing. Obito said, looking at Naruto. Naruto, it was a huge mistake not to take Zetsu as a threat. Naruto said, then smiled. Obito, eliminating someone like Zetsu is very difficult. I thought I had done it, but it turned out to be just a clone. By the time I found out, it was too late to try and find him. Obito said in a somewhat amused tone. Naruto. And now it's even later. In a flash of speed, Naruto launched himself towards Obito with a kunai in hand. Naruto tried to cut Obito's neck, however, the kunai passed right through Obito. Naruto fell onto a branch behind Obito, completely surprised. Naruto. What the heck? Naruto turned around to see Obito, but he was no longer there. Naruto reacted and turned back, seeing Obito with a kunai in his hand right behind him. Naruto quickly jumped to avoid the cut Obito tried to inflict. Naruto fell onto another branch, and then a small cut formed on his right cheek, bleeding. Naruto. Asterisk, he's fast. No, that can't be speed, it must be a jutsu star. Naruto thought, looking directly at Obito. Obito, you look scared. Obito said in a dark and mocking tone, looking at Naruto, who frowned. Naruto, TSK. A space-time jutsu? Naruto said as if referring to himself. Obito? Naruto Uzumaki. I'll tell you this only once. Join Akatsuki. Help capture the Jinchuriki, and together we will bring peace to the world. The infinite Tsukimi. Obito said, extending his arms. Naruto, you're the one I have to eliminate, that's what I'll do, you can be sure of that. Naruto said, keeping his face serious. Obito, pathetic. What will you do if pain gets in your way? After all, you need him too. That's why you're trying to persuade Konan to bring you closer to him. Obito said, surprising Naruto. Naruto, how do you know? Naruto said in a low tone, looking down. Obito, I didn't think Konan would betray Akatsuki. I should eliminate her. The moment those words came out of Obito's mouth, Naruto looked up and saw Obito completely angry and with his Sharingan activated. Naruto, I won't allow it. Naruto said as his Sharingan glowed. Obito, I would if I didn't need her. I wonder what you can do to get closer to Nagato. After all, he already knows about you. Naruto deactivated his Sharingan and his face reflected disappointment. Obito, now you know what you're up against. You should make the right decision and just get out of the way. Obito said, then twirled his Sharingan. Naruto looked up again and stared directly at Obito. The two stared at each other for a few seconds. It was a defiant look, and although Naruto had been defeated, they hadn't finished him off yet, and of course he wasn't going to let them. Obito began to disappear in a spinning vortex without taking his eyes off Naruto, who was also watching him. Obito disappeared completely. Seeing that Obito had left, Naruto clenched his fists tightly. Things had happened quickly, and processing what Obito had told him felt like facing a mountain of walls that prevented him from achieving his goal. Even knowing he had lost the first encounter, Naruto wasn't going to let it end like that. He now knew he was facing a rival who was not only strong but also very intelligent. He understood that clearly, but for his goal to save his friends, and because he had promised his grandfather Naruto would be the one who stood in the end. It was a promise he had just made to himself, the beginning of a great event. 2 days later, Team Samui was already very close to Konoha. They were accompanied by 2 messengers who didn't seem to have any combat skills, but that was precisely the reason Team Samui was with them. Samui was in front of everyone, in the middle were the 2 messengers, and behind them were Karui and Omoi. Samui could estimate that they were only a few meters away from the gates of Konoha. She heard Karui and Omoi arguing as usual. Samui stopped and quickly signaled for the others to stop. The messengers stopped, and Karui and Omoi did the same. Karui, what's wrong? Samui? Karui asked, raising her voice. Samui, the air is so tense. Don't tell me. We're surrounded. Samui quickly managed to move to the side and dodge a kunai. He ran and reached where the messengers were. Karui and Omoi also approached. Karui, what's happening? Omoi, perhaps this is how Konoha welcomes visitors. Omoi said, earning an angry look from Karui. Samui, be alert. They'll attack at any moment. Samui said, then began scanning the trees and bushes. Omoi drew his sword, as did Karui. Suddenly, movement began in a bush, catching the attention of everyone present. 7 kunai shot out from the bush, flying towards the Kumogakure shinobi. Karui and Omoi deflected them all. An ANBU emerged from a bush in front of Samui, who dodged the attack. Another ANBU appeared behind Samui and managed to slash her with a sword, but it exploded in a puff of smoke, revealing only a tree trunk. Karui and Omoi moved at great speed and clashed swords with the 2 ANBU, beginning a kenjutsu duel. Samui appeared standing on a branch, and as she was about to run to help her companions, another umbu appeared behind her. Samui quickly took out a kunai and protected herself from the umbu's sword. The umbu spun around and connected with a kick that Samui managed to block. Samui grabbed the umbu's foot and threw him into the air. The umbu made hand seals, and then a gust of wind shot out towards Samui, who jumped from the branch to dodge the attack. The umbu jumped towards the branch where Samui was. Samui, why are you doing this? Samui asked, looking at the umbu. Umbu, these are the Hokage's orders. Eliminate them all. The umbu said, then ran towards Samui. Samui took out her tanto and began a kenjutsu duel with the umbu. While Karui and Omoi fought with the umbu, 2 more umbu appeared and took the messengers away. Karui, damn it, they've taken them away. Karui said while defending herself from the umbu's attacks. Omoi clashed his sword with the umbus and the 2 pushed back. Omoi created 6 clones who ran and surrounded the umbu while attacking him with the sword. The Umbu defended himself from the attacks, however, he began to receive some cuts. He jumped up to get out of the clones, but Omoi appeared from above. Omoi, reversal missed cut. Omoi said, cutting the Umbu completely, causing him to fall to the ground dead. Omoi's clones scattered and Omoi ran towards where the Umbus who captured the messengers had gone. Samui, no Omoi, wait. Samui tried to follow Omoi, however, the Umbu tried to attack her. Samui protected herself with the Tanto and continued a Kenjutsu duel. Karui managed to push his rival back and then made hand seals, ending with the Tiger Seal. Umbu, fire jutsu. The Umbu jumped to dodge the jutsu, however there was no jutsu. Karui cut the Umbu at great speed. Karui, cloud-style frontal cut. Karui said, then ran towards where Omoi had gone. Samui saw Karui walking away as well. Then he saw 6 Umbu following behind Karui. Samui, it's a trap, Karui. Samui shouted. However, Karui was too far away to hear her. Samui ducked and dodged the Umbu's attack, then spun around and landed a kick in the Umbu's ribs, sending him crashing into a tree. Samui jumped to another branch trying to reach her companions, but a shuriken thrown by the Umbu cut her eye. Samui fell to her knees on the branch and held her right eye trying to stop the bleeding. The Umbu jumped onto the branch and saw Samui. Umbu, you're not going anywhere, said the Umbu with the monkey mask. Omoi was following the Umbu who had captured the messengers. As Omoi jumped onto a branch, he heard and felt a rope break. Omoi stepped back and managed to dodge a log that was coming towards him. Suddenly, a puff of smoke formed and 3 Umbu could be seen. 2 of them had cat masks and the other a bird mask. They had captured the messengers. Karui arrived and stood next to Omoi. Karui, are you okay? Karui asked without looking at Omoi. Omoi, yes, but now, Karui, I know. We're surrounded. There were 10 Umbu surrounding and ready to attack the 2 Kumo shinobi. Umbu Cat 1. This is a message from the Hokage, said the Umbu Cat, and then the messengers were killed. Samui and the Umbu stood face to face. Despite the pressure that was emerging in Samui's eye, the blood was running. He had already lost his right eye. Samui cut off his right sleeve and wrapped it around the back of his head, covering his right eye. Samui, we're from Kumogakure, you should know what it means to be killed. Samui said in an annoyed tone. Umbu, these are the Hokage's orders. Don't worry, you'll be the only one left alive, but you'll have to witness something very traumatic. The Umbu said in a calm tone. Samui ran towards the Umbu who dodged Samui's attack and then cut her leg. Samui tried to cut the Umbu's neck, but he blocked her attack with his sword and pushed her back. It was obvious that Samui was at a disadvantage. She had lost an eye, and besides, the pain was unbearable, preventing her from thinking clearly or even moving as she wished. An Umbu with a dog mask arrived next to the Umbu who was facing Samui. Umbu, follow us, we'll show you something. The Umbu said, then began jumping from branch to branch alongside the other Umbu. Samui watched them for a moment and saw that they were heading in the direction Omoi and Karui had gone. Samui began to follow them. As she followed, the pain in her right eye intensified, but along with it came a bad feeling. She felt that following those 2 Anbu was like following death itself. The Umbu jumped to a higher branch and there were 10 more Umbu there. Samui reached a branch below them and then his gaze went to a scene that caused Samui to collapse to his knees, tears coming out of his left eye as he observed the scene. The messengers were dead, and a few meters away from them were the lifeless bodies of Karui and Omoi. Both bodies had many shurikens in the body and Omoi had been cut in the jugular. Samui, no, guys. Samui gripped her tanto tightly and then leaped towards the Umbu. Damn you! One of the Umbu stopped Samui's attack and another appeared behind her and stabbed her shoulder with a kunai. The Umbu who appeared to be the leader, wearing a monkey mask, approached Samui. Umbu Mano. This is a strong and clear message. An Umbu wearing a cat mask jumped towards where the bodies were, took out a scroll, then made hand seals and the bodies disappeared in a puff of smoke. The Umbu jumped and stood next to the Umbu wearing a monkey mask and handed him the scroll. Umbu Mano. Here, this is a small gift from the Hokage. Tell your Raikage that they failed the Chunin exams. The Umbu said, placing the scroll in Samui's hand, which was immobilized, partly due to her injuries, but also partly due to the deaths of her comrades. Umbu Mano. Now leave, or we'll have to end your life, said the Umbu Mano, and then all the Umbu disappeared. Samui was still immobilized. Her eye was on the scroll. Her body was trembling and tears were coming out of her left eye. Samui looked up and saw where Konoha was. Samui, I will avenge them. Karui, Omoi, I promise, Konoha will be crushed. Kumogakure will crush Konoha. They will all fall. Samui said in a tone that reflected fury, as did her face. Konoha. Danzo was sitting in his lair, his face as usual very calm. An Umbu with a monkey mask knelt in front of him. Umbu Mano, Lord Danzo, it's done. The Umbu said in a calm tone. Danzo, well, the first step has been taken. Danzo said, then opened his one visible eye. Shikamaru had changed a lot. After all, he was no longer a chunin, but his level was now jonin. Although he didn't really like being a teacher, the truth is that he did it even if he had to say his phrase, how troublesome. The laziness and what characterized him as a slacker were gone. Shikamaru was someone totally devoted to the village. Many were surprised by Shikamaru's change, although he still maintained some of that lazy attitude. It is something common in him and seems impossible to leave completely. Shikamaru was on his way to the Hokage Tower. He had been called by Tsunade for a mission. Shikamaru arrived at the Hokage Tower and then entered it and arrived at the office. He knocked and heard the Hokages come in and entered. Upon entering, Shikamaru saw Temari standing in front of Tsunade's desk. Shikamaru walked over and stood next to Temari. Shikamaru, what's my name? Shikamaru asked, looking at Tsunade but not at Temari. Tsunade, yes. This is Sabaku no Temari, the Kazekage sister and also a jonin from Suna. She's here to supervise the Chunin exams. Tsunade said, introducing Temari. Shikamaru, what does that have to do with me? Shikamaru said in a lazy tone. Tsunade, well, since you're also a jonin, I want you to give him a tour of the village. And remember, you'll also be a supervisor for the Chunin exams, so it's a good idea for you two to talk amongst yourselves. Tsunade said, looking at Shikamaru. Shikamaru, okay. When do you want to start the tour? Shikamaru asked, looking at Temari. Temari, when you're not so lazy. Temari said in a mocking tone. Shikamaru, okay. Then let's go. Shikamaru said, then walked to the door, opened it and offered Temari the chance to go first. Temari blushed slightly and then bowed goodbye to Tsunade, walked out of Tsunade's office, and Shikamaru followed suit. Shikamaru was walking through the streets of Konoha next to Temari, both keeping their faces calm as they walked through the streets of Konoha. Shikamaru, alright, I guess I'll start by showing you around the village and then the training grounds. Shikamaru said in a calm tone without looking at Temari. Temari, okay. Temari said, then looked at Shikamaru and quickly turned her gaze forward. Shikamaru, hey, if you don't mind, I want to visit someone first. It'll be quick. Shikamaru said, looking at Temari. Temari, if there's no problem, but who are you going to visit? Temari asked, glancing sideways at Shikamaru who seemed not to have heard her question. Shikamaru, before that I'll buy flowers. Shikamaru said, then put his hands behind his head. Let's go. Shikamaru and Temari continued walking through the streets of Konoha, arriving at the Yamanaka flower shop. Temari was a little surprised since the first time she came to Konoha she hadn't seen this place, and she had already heard the surname Yamanaka. Shikamaru and Temari entered the flower shop. Ino, who was sitting at the register, looked up when she heard the doorbell and saw Shikamaru and Temari. Shikamaru, hi Ino, I've come for the flowers. Shikamaru said, keeping his hands behind his head. Ino, okay. Ino said, then handed Shikamaru a small bouquet of flowers. By the way, I can give you some more if you want to give some to Temari. Ino whispered in Shikamaru's ear, causing him to look bored. Shikamaru, no, this is fine. Besides, I'm showing her around the village since she'll be a supervisor for the Chunin exams. Shikamaru said, taking the flowers. Temari, yes, I hadn't seen this flower shop before. It's very pretty. Temari said while looking at the flowers and roses. Ino, thank you so much. It's my family's flower shop. I always have to look after it in the afternoons because Shikamaru is busy now that he's a jonin, and we can't do missions as a team. Ino said, looking at Temari. Temari, I didn't think he'd become a jonin either. With how he finds everything problematic, he seemed like just a lazy bum. Temari said, then smiled. Shikamaru, hey, I'm here, and this conversation is getting out of hand, so we're leaving. Shikamaru said, walking towards the door, Temari following him. Shikamaru and Temari continued walking and then left the streets and entered the training fields. They arrived at a field where there were 3 logs, and then in front of them was a stone that had many names written on it. Temari stopped and watched as Shikamaru walked over and placed the bouquet of flowers in front of the stone. Shikamaru stared at the stone for a moment, about 2 minutes. Temari noticed him smiling occasionally, as if he were telling a story or talking to someone, only in his mind. Temari focused on the stone and saw many names. Some she had heard before, others she had no idea about, and then her eyes lingered on one name, Naruto Uzumaki. Shikamaru moved away from the rock and then walked until he stood next to Temari. Shikamaru, since we're here, I'll show you the training grounds. Shikamaru said, then put his hands back behind his head. Temari, then you could come with me to the flower shop. I'd like to leave some flowers from Gaara, myself, and Kankuro. Temari said, looking at the stone and slightly surprising Shikamaru. Shikamaru, okay. Follow me. Shikamaru said with a smile. Location unknown. Naruto was in the hideout where he had trained for 2.5 years. His teacher at that time was his grandfather Madara Uchiha. But now he was training alone. He wore black shinobi pants, accompanied by shinobi boots of the same color, a white sleeveless shirt, and his gloves. Naruto seemed to have hours and hours of training under his belt, which was evident from the sweat running down his body. However, he didn't seem tired at all. After all, Naruto had been subjected to inhuman training by Madara. It could be the habit and also the fact of what had happened with Obito. Although Naruto didn't fight Obito, he felt a superiority, a great difference between himself and Obito. He had weights on his arms, legs, and one on his waist while he ran through the hideout dodging kunai, shuriken, and traps he had created himself, and of course he kept his Sharingan activated and at the same time switched to his Manjikyu. Naruto wanted to break all his limits and much more. He had a great knowledge about the Sharingan and the Manjikyu. Naruto felt that he could perfect his eyes and acquire great power, and that was his goal. Zetsu was standing a little ways away, watching Naruto. He already knew about the meeting between Naruto and Obito. He knew it from the moment Naruto decided to quickly return to the hideout to train, and then Naruto told him about it. White Zetsu. He seems very angry, or is he motivated? White Zetsu said with a smile. Black Zetsu. I didn't think Obito was so much stronger. Despite Naruto's extensive training, he still needs to become even stronger if he wants to defeat Obito. Black Zetsu said in his typical dark tone of voice. White Zetsu. He may also have to face pain. Although this is a very good thing. If Naruto continues like this, with Hashirama's cells in him, he may soon awaken the Rinnegan. White Zetsu said in a cheerful tone. Black Zetsu. The Rinnegan. Madara awakened his Rinnegan in his old age, thanks to Hashirama's cells. However, Naruto, having Hashirama's cells at a young age and being an Uzumaki, may develop the Rinnegan much earlier than Madara's. Zetsu said, looking directly at Naruto.